Imagine yourself going to your favorite holiday party this year and having a wonderful time, but this year you don't leave feeling bloated, lethargic, and regretful. Imagine January 2nd coming around after all the holiday festivities, but this time you feel energetic, proud of yourself, and on track with your health goals. Healthy living is a lifestyle that doesn't need to change over the holidays. Molly Brown, personal trainer and nutrition consultant, joins me in this episode to chat about a really practical and healthy way to approach the holiday season. There's a reason that New Year's resolutions have a reputation for being dropped. Don't wait for January 1st to feel your best and pursue health. Gain some motivation, encouragement, and wisdom from this episode and start now. Welcome to the Daily Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Meredith. I've led my family on a transformative health journey for over a decade, and now I help other families do the same. So this is a place where you can learn about healthy living and take the next step in your wellness journey. Molly Brown, thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Can you tell everybody a little bit about you?
Sure. I am a certified personal trainer. Backstory of how I got into that is my mom liked working out. We had a personal trainer that would come to our house, and usually she would kind of force me to work out with her. That's not my favorite thing to do. And after a while, our personal trainer said, "Oh yeah, well, I'm moving out of state," and we were like, "Oh no, what are we going to do?" Like we were kind of dependent on her, and we had our own private gym just for our own use, kind of as a hobby. And so my mom said, "Well, why don't you get certified?" You know, she's always said that you have just great form. We're kind of naturally, come about to it. So I said, "Okay, well, for my accountability, that would be a good idea, probably to do that and get some knowledge." And so I got certified and decided to just see if I could take on a few clients kind of at our house, at our gym. And it really just took off and kind of blew up. And so that's what I primarily do right now, is training. So I train just women. And since then I've gotten certified in fitness nutrition. We do prenatal fitness, like pregnancy fitness, corrective exercise. I do online training, and recently I got certified as a dietary supplement professional. So just kind of building on that knowledge. It all kind of integrates together and to better help women that want to work out and be healthy. So
yeah, for sure. That definitely, it's just a trickle down effect. It's like, oh, well, it's helping you with this, might as well help you with this too, because it all, fits together.
So entwined. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, something's not working, then you try this. So I just keep, learning and building to that arsenal of knowledge.
And you can only get so far in your fitness if you're not eating right.
Yeah, they definitely go hand in hand. So I'm like, okay, can't do one and not the other.
Yeah. And didn't you have some stuff going on personally, in your own health journey around that time?
Yeah. So about then, I started doing the personal training for a little while, and kind of a couple years apart, but we all started having some health issues, and come to find out that we had a lot of toxic mold in our house, had some exposure to that. And so basically my entire family we had kind of manifested in different ways, different symptoms. But we all went through a huge learning period of adjusting our diet, just all these little things that I probably would have called crazy early on, like health things that we have learned and adapted to. We're definitely doing a lot more now than I ever thought we would, even as a personal trainer, just health wise. So that has played a big part of learning more and being able to help people that have maybe some different autoimmunity issues, and how that affects your working out or how that affects your diet, nutrition. So all that knowledge just it's nice that I fell into this career because it really helps me be able to use that to help other people, my clients too. So
yeah. And do you have kiddos?
No, I don't. I have my sister live at home. So
so I was just wondering, and you said we, so I'm like, who was all the other people affected?
Yeah. My mom and dad, my dad was one of the first to start getting some bad symptoms, and then my sister, and she's still really dealing with those effects. It just kind of really can change your life permanently. So I got some symptoms, and then they just said, oh, genetically, you're just way better off. You've been able to kind of bounce back from that a lot quicker than maybe other family members have. So that's a good thing for me. But
yeah, it's probably kind of challenging and beneficial both, like going through that while you were trying to grow in your, personal training and all that.
Yeah, it's a struggle. And you kind of learn textbook things that like, oh, well, this is healthy. And then as you kind of learn for yourself, you're kind of disentangling like, no, wait a minute. Like this whole bottom of the pyramid full of bread thing, like this isn't, exactly the best.
Yes, everybody has their own a little opinion. So I made a meme the other day that was like, when the Halloween was going around, and there was a bunch of popular memes about like, it's a haunted house, and I was like, it's a haunted house, but it's a food pyramid from the 1980s.
Oh, yeah. You look at that, like, no wonder my clients' diets can be so bad. Like, they're just doing what they think is healthy. And there's a learning curve there to relearn maybe what we've been taught by like grocery store marketing or, just outdated science. So
that's so true. That's been a huge part of my learning journey is just, what resources can I use and trust to for myself and my family. And so having to learn to find those trustworthy sources and maybe, what's the word? And kind of go, like, I guess, trust my instincts, like
right.
What is really good for my family and what's not.
To be your own advocate, too. So learn for yourself. You're the one that cares the most about yourself and your family. So put the most effort for research. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I wanted to ask you some specific questions about health related to the holidays, because the time this will air will be right around the holidays. And I know that it is hard to prioritize your health and think about health through the holidays. So I just wonder, maybe in your own personal life and some tips that you give your clients during this time of year, what are some of the priorities that we can focus on? What are some of the strategies that we need to get through the holidays without completely sabotaging our health?
Right. Yeah, it can definitely be an excuse for overindulgence, even more so than normal. And one of my biggest things that I hear is some people being like, oh, well, I am going to hit it hard after the new year. I'm just not going to think about it until January. And then I will get on track. And I know this episode is going to air later, but if you said that today and decided, okay, in January, I'm going to start doing that, that's 50 days. That 50 days that you could be working towards your health, 50 opportunities to make progress towards your fitness goals that you're losing, or even 50 additional strikes against you if you're using every one of those days as an excuse to overindulge because of the holidays. So I would definitely caution against just waiting till January with that New Year's resolution. You just have to realize, fitness needs to be a lifestyle. There's not a destination for it. You don't need to get there. It's something you continually live out. So that may look different from month to month and holiday season to holiday season, but definitely don't stop and decide to skip and just wait it out. So
yeah, I agree. I think thinking about your health year round is really important because, you have Thanksgiving and Christmas, of course, but then you also have New Year's. And then right on the heels of that is Valentine's Day. And then like you're coming up on Easter. And then you have May, and then you have summer vacations. And then, so if we're not thinking about our health during the holidays, I think it's really easy to just continue on with that mindset. There's always something that would give us an excuse.
Well, yeah, if you're honest with yourself, you're going to have the exact same excuses in January that you have now. I think the University of Scranton said 80% of people give up on their New Year's resolutions by the end of January. So if you think you're going to find some new motivation, you might find it for a little bit, but you will lose motivation very quickly. You have to learn to be disciplined. So building habits is what we've done, and I'm by no means perfect, and I'll cheat and things like that, but the healthy habits we've formed, we tendency to stay within those habits, and so
Absolutely.
almost like, a thought to cheat, intentional cheating instead of just having those healthy habits formed. They're really the key to have that second nature of, this is what we do, this is how much we eat, this is, and it makes it easier to stay within some guidelines maybe you set for yourself ahead of time.
Yeah. So what are some of those habits that you have during the holidays or that you would recommend?
Yeah, they're some of them sound kind of silly and little, but really the little things add up. So these are some of the things that we kind of follow even on a daily basis, but holidays, yeah, especially. When one is, if you're going to eat sugar, eat it as late in the day as possible, because your body will actually crave sugar a couple hours after you have it, and then that's just a vicious cycle. So if you decide you're going to eat sugar, don't wake up and eat your pie for breakfast. Wait as long as the day as you can, because you're not going to be necessarily as much craving it as you are later. So if you can wait till after lunch, there's fewer hours to then be like miserable craving it all day long. So if we do decide to have a dessert, we try to wait, push it off as long as we can, start the day healthy, give your body a chance to wake up and be able to better process that sugar and feasting later. So that's something we try to do. As far as like holiday parties, because that's a big one, eating is definitely a huge part of get-togethers. Like the social element, social parties usually revolve around food and eating, so it can be the hardest place to resist temptation. And sometimes you're under a lot of pressure to indulge because maybe other people are doing it. Maybe you don't really want to be at this party, and so that's the only thing there is to do there is kind of graze. Or maybe someone is, you have those people that say, oh, well, you're not fat. You can have one. You can go ahead and eat it. They try to kind of guilt you into maybe doing something you didn't want to do. You just kind of have to realize that they are trying not to feel guilty themselves for indulging. So, don't feed in on that. You have to kind of stand your ground, set some rules for yourself ahead of time. Like if you can take maybe some games to your party or an activity so it doesn't revolve totally around the food. You have something, a distraction. You're still having fun at this event. Or even just being really intentional, building relationships, talking to people one-on-one and not just like, oh, I'm here to eat, So
Right.
Some things like that, trying to not make that the focus.
Yeah. Well, I personally love food. So I am all about like the holiday food and things like that. But I think there is a healthy way to approach it where you can like enjoy it, but not make yourself feel terrible,
Right.
and going to all these holiday parties. So one thing I always think of is, I don't know, by this time I kind of maybe know in advance like what the food is going to be like at a certain kind of party, if there are going to be healthy options or not. If I know there's not really going to be any, I actually try to eat something before I go to the party. I'll eat something healthy, like non-starchy vegetables, a good protein or something like that, so that I'm not just starving when I get to the party. And so I'll still eat at the party too, but I won't fill up as much as I would have if I would have gone on an empty stomach.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one because, it's like going to the grocery store hungry, If you
Yes.
go and decide to, I'm going to have this cookie, then that's better than had you gone like, man, I haven't eaten since lunch, and then
Exactly.
and dessert and fudge and whatnot.
Then you're like just eating everything because you're so hungry. Yeah.
Just keep eating. And even not feeling guilty about not finishing something. You go to these parties and some of the dessert, like the portions that how they cut them are definitely huge. So like, that might be 4 servings and one brownie they have cut out for you. So don't feel guilty about not finishing that. Eat till you're satisfied and your craving satisfied, not until you're full or stuffed. So you can take up and feel good. So,
and sometimes if I know that there are going to be some decently healthy options, then I'll just be really intentional while I'm there to like fill my plate with those healthy options, you know, get non-starchy vegetables, get good protein, maybe a little bit of carbs. And if I eat that, then I feel full and satiated, and I'm not going to continue grazing all night. And then I'll intentionally pick like, you know, one dessert or treat that I am really excited about, you know, that I can enjoy and not feel bad about at all. Cause I think that we should do that. But, you know what I mean? Like you have that intentionality.
Yeah. Everything has to do with intentionality. And if you choose, oh, I'm having my one dessert here, I'm going to have my grandma's apple pie because that's like the time I get it. And it's so
My
good.
favorite. Yeah.
Then yeah, go ahead and have that. Like I said, don't maybe eat 5 pieces of it, but eat till you're satisfied and put it away. It is just like having candy dishes setting out. I'm not a candy person. I would much rather have a piece of cake or a brownie or something. And sometimes you start craving something and you're like, oh, I don't need that piece of cake. I'm just gonna have a little bite of chocolate or something. Well, you know how many calories are in like those kisses and little pieces of chocolate? And you have 10 trying to satisfy your craving so you don't eat this piece of cake when like you could have just had the piece of cake, and because you end up eating it anyway because it doesn't satisfy. So try not to mindless eat, you know, is something. It's just like, okay, if you're craving this, go for it. Take a couple bites, then you're happy and you're done, instead of maybe regretting how much you tried to cover up that craving unsuccessfully.
Yeah. And I would say if this is totally new to somebody, like just try it, because that's really pretty awesome to get to the end of, you know, a day or the end of a week of holiday parties. And you're like, I don't feel like crap. I actually have some energy. You know, my stomach doesn't hurt. I don't have headaches. Like that. Yeah. I remember in the years when I just ate whatever I wanted, as much as I wanted, how terrible I would feel. And then after I started being more intentional, how decent I would feel at the end of the holidays. And it's worth it. You get to that point and you're like, this is great. And it's motivating to do it again.
Right. Yeah. You sometimes don't realize how bad you're feeling until you step away from something and feel good. And you're like, wow, that made me feel horrible. And I didn't realize how maybe tired I was, or how like I didn't realize this was abnormal to feel this way. So
I agree. Yeah. You don't realize how bad you feel until you feel good. Hey, Daily Wellness listeners, have you ever wished for specific guided help with your health journey? Maybe you need someone to teach you about menu planning or how to get your whole family on board with healthy eating. Maybe you need recommendations for non-toxic cleaning and personal care products so that you can finally make the switch. Now, you and I can chat one-on-one about whatever health topic you'd like. For more details and to schedule, go to dailywellnesscommunity.com/coaching. Now back to the episode. So what do we have? So we have food. And what was the first one you said?
About eating sugar late in the day.
Oh, yes, that's right. Eating sugar late in the day. Be intentional about the food at parties. Yeah. What else?
Another trick, mainly at home, sometimes at parties, is like when we feast for maybe Thanksgiving or something, we will get little plates, like it's salad-sized plates instead of full plates. And you fill that plate full and you feel like you've got this huge heaping plate, when in reality it's keeping your portions more, you know, what they should be. It's kind of just a mind trick. A lot of this is mental. You're tricking your mind. You know, your body's not really starving. We have plenty of food here. It's all, you know, a battlefield in the mind. So there's a lot of little tricks you can do to kind of help you, you know, achieve what you need to. And
yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Sometimes you do go and you get these little plates and you feel like, oh, I already ate a lot because you ate off your plate. Yeah, but maybe you're actually not getting enough nutrition on that little plate.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes like the big plates, sometimes we fill up with like, oh, the mac and cheese and the rolls and stuff. So, you know, start with your proteins first, put them on there. And then whatever room maybe you have left, fill in a little bit of the carbs. But, you know, it doesn't have to be unhealthy. If you know you're going to go to a party that night, maybe make your lunch meal healthier. Like, oh, I'm going to have just the turkey, you know, and then the green beans, and just forego the roll and the extra carbs. You know, it doesn't have to be an unhealthy meal to taste really good and nourishing and satisfying.
So true.
And you don't need to eat 2 huge meals that day, you know, if you can.
Right.
Uh, or another thing is like, especially Thanksgiving, is break your food up. So get your plate that you want to indulge on and split it in half. Eat one plate and say, in 2 hours, I get to come back and eat the second plate. Because you always want to be able to walk away from a meal. Like, you don't want to eat this massive meal you don't feel like you can even stand up and get away from when you're done. So breaking up your portions, you're not depriving yourself at all, but it gives your body a chance to rest and digest and then come back and eat the rest of it later. So it helps not to spike your blood sugar so high. It's not all about weight gain. It's about the physical toll that, is doing on the body. So that's one thing to just, split up your feasting. Don't sit down and eat. You don't want to stretch your stomach out at that huge meal. So
that's true. As you said, it's not all about gaining weight. And it just made me think of this time of year, like going into the winter, and how people typically get more sick, right? It's easier to get sick because we're indoors more, we're getting less sunlight, and we're eating more sugar and things that are inflammatory to our bodies. And so that's another aspect of just protecting your immune system.
Well, even some holiday parties, like, will purposely not indulge because sugar lowers your immune system for at least 4 hours after consuming it. So if you're at a party, you have like 3 cookies, and guess what? Johnny's over there coughing. You are now more likely to get sick from him than had you not eaten the desserts. So,
right.
Or don't eat something before I go to Walmart or some big, germy place that
I know sick, and you can't even go to the holiday parties that you have coming up.
Yeah, definitely. That sugar, they'll do it to you.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, and it's important to not forego good habits you've already formed. Even those sometimes go out the window when the mindset, you're like, oh, I'm cheating till January, whatever. You keep up on drinking your water. That really helps your digestion. Don't eat right before bed or in bed. There's little rules that you don't need to break, but you can still cheat smartly, selectively. But you don't want to just all those other little things. Maybe you've worked so hard on getting to that point, you don't want to just toss that out the window too. So
yeah, if I'm like being mindful and intentional about it, I don't even call it cheating. I'm like, this is like, this is my intentional choice, and I feel good about it. I'm not going to feel shame about like cheating because I was intentional about choosing it. Yeah,
for sure. I'd say one of the best and probably easiest recommendations for after eating or cheating or whatever is to get up and go take a walk. Mm-hmm. It's huge in aiding with that digestion. Typically you think about eating a big meal and then you're sitting around the rest of the afternoon. But if you decide to, even a healthy meal, honestly, but when you eat, you can immediately say, hey, I'm going to go for a 10-minute walk. Either that's around the house, that's outside if it's nice. That helps your body to not spike the blood sugar so high, keep it stable. And then it also, of course, it helps with weight loss and, not packing on the pounds, but it aids in that digestion. So you're not so miserable after eating. And that's something we've tried to do after almost every meal if we can. We had lunch, let's just get up and do a 10-minute walk around, at least standing. Even standing helps. So, but especially after these big holiday meals, we're just more prone to be kind of lethargic, I think, because it's getting dark so early. It's like, oh, it's time to sit, time to be in bed. So it really kind of shortens our movement window. We have to be more intentional about moving because we're not outside. It's cold, so we don't get to play outside. We don't get to hike and do things like that. You just have to be a lot more intentional about movement.
Yeah. What are some things you do indoors if you can't go for that 10-minute walk outside? Maybe it's cold or too dark or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you can have a completely perfect workout, just totally body weight exercises within like a 2x2 square foot of space. Like, you don't have to have a gym at all. Our house has a lot of stairs, so up and down the stairs we go, or we intentionally make the extra trips. Like, okay, I wasn't going to go downstairs, but I'm going to go ahead and go downstairs because it just gets me extra steps in. Just standing, like I said, when you're on your phone, maybe instead of going and sitting for a few minutes, stand that whole time. Or if you have a treadmill, when you get on Facebook, just say, okay, if I'm on Facebook, I have to be on the treadmill. That's a good one. Use that. You're like, oh, I was on here a long time, Right.
I got a lot of steps in my throat.
time. But you can definitely keep your exercises short. You don't have to spend an hour workout. You can get a great workout in 20, 30 minutes. And if you do go to a gym, I know a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm just really not in the mood to get out and go to the gym. I try to tell them, well, can you just commit to going for 5 minutes? Like, I know you don't feel like working out. Go to the gym, set a timer for 5 minutes and come home. Because when they do that, guess what? They usually stay for 10, 20 minutes because they're there. The hardest part is just getting there and making themselves do it. Or at home, it's like, okay, I'm going to march in place, 5 minutes, that's it. And you end up, I'm going to do some squats, I think. I'm going to, just you throw in some things here and there. So just make yourself do something. And that really opens up, okay, well, I can go a little further. I'll push myself a little bit more.
That's a great tip. I love that. Yeah. Just get in that mindset of even 5 minutes. Any other healthy habits we haven't covered that you had thought of?
Oh, at the gym, we do always do themed workouts specific to holidays. It makes it a lot more fun, kind of breaks up the monotony. So we'll do when I have leaves on the floor, they have exercises underneath. Or, we have trivia questions and we play Christmas trivia. And if you get the answer wrong, you have so many squats, so many burpees. There's fun ways of doing things and getting your energy out, especially if you have kids in the house. Winter is a hard time to keep them contained. So one thing we'll do for fun sometimes is just put on a Christmas song and say, okay, we cannot stop moving till the song's over. And it's really only like a 2 or 3 minute song. By the end of it, you're kind of hot and panting and sweaty. So, but it's a fun little way to just start that movement. Or after eating, it's like, okay, here, we're gonna put on this song. We can't sit down until the song's over. Can't stop moving till the song's over. And then you can kind of take your relaxation time. But
yeah, that's a great tip. I thought that would make it really fun. I think that another motivating factor for me to get moving in the holidays is just stress relief. I was already feeling that today. This week has been stressful for me, and we're not even to Thanksgiving yet. And I was like, oh my goodness, I need to go to the gym today because I know myself, and I know that when I am consistently moving and stretching and just using my muscles and getting that blood flowing, it just helps my mental health so much, and it helps to relieve my stress. And so even if you're not in the mood for a hardcore workout, or I don't want to do HIIT today, well, can you walk, and can you stretch and just move your body in a gentle way to maybe have that stress relief moment that you need from all the holiday chaos?
Yeah, because you want to challenge yourself, and that's going to look different for everybody depending on where they're at, fitness level wise. A 10-minute walk may be a huge challenge to some people, whereas, it may not be so much to other people. They need to up it. Okay, let's try to do 50 squats while I brush my teeth or something. But all the holiday traffic and shopping for people and cooking meals are definitely all stress inducing. I think the American Psychology Association said that 38% of people said that they had an increase of stress during the holiday season. So that's almost half the population that are more stressed right now, which is not a good state to be in for sure. But
I don't doubt that at all. That number seems low to me, actually.
Probably more, but yeah. And when you're stressed, your body releases that cortisol, which of course is the stress hormone, and that can do physical damage to your body. It not only can it prevent you from losing weight. I always try to ask my clients if they're at a plateau, and I'm like, okay, well, what's your stress level like right now? And they look at me like, well, yeah, I'm totally stressed, but what does that have to do with anything? I'm like, well, that can actually keep you from losing weight. It can keep you from gaining muscle. Definitely can lead to digestive issues, which is not something we want if we are eating maybe more than we usually do around the holidays. It leads to poor absorption of food, so maybe you're not getting all the nutrients that you need or can get out of a meal. So it definitely takes its toll on the body, especially being in a chronic state of stress all the time. And we're actually doing a little challenge in the gym right now. It's No Stress November, and so every day there's a little challenge to do that can help lower your stress. So of course, a 10-minute workout's on there. One of the days is taking a walk. One day it says try a new bedtime tea, like chamomile, lavender, grounding on there outside, just drinking your water, just a lot of little things to see if you can lower your stress in life, especially around the holiday season. And of course, working out is on there because working out releases endorphins, which is the feel-good chemical, kind of counteracts the cortisol. You want those to be in balance. So it really helps how your body uses oxygen, has a direct impact on the brain, and even the more you exercise, the more endorphins that are released. So that's kind of why some people do say they get addicted to working out, even though some people are like, whoa, I would never be addicted to working out. And while it's hard and not always fun, afterwards you're like, wow, okay. Like, I feel good. That was miserable, but man, like it was so worth it. My stress level's down. Like, I feel good, a little sore. Yeah, I moved. Like, my stomach isn't so bloated anymore, So you definitely underestimate the negative effects stress has.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that list because we are somewhat used to it, I think. Everybody just assumes that you're going to be stressed during the holidays, and it just kind of feels like normal, but it really doesn't have to be. Like, there really are ways that we can not only manage that stress, but like mitigate it. Like, let's like just have less in general. Not that we just have the same amount of stress and we're just trying to manage it better, but what if we actually had less stress to begin with?
Yeah. Well, you definitely should create and curate an environment that is conducive for being, non-stress. You want to have happy attitudes, even just your mindset, kind of that, choose joy and happy. Yeah, you have to respond to people, can lower their stress. Movement, like we said, your diet. A lot of times people are eating so much junk that actually makes you physically irritated. I don't know if you ever felt it where you've eaten up too much sugar and then you're just snapping at everybody and you're like, oh, okay. And you kind of realize, and I realized because when I was going through my health problems, I was very like agitated and short. And I was like, well, this isn't my personality and I'm not actually mad at you. I'm not sure what's going on here, but I know, like, for me personally, if I eat gluten, I get that way for sure. The inflammation, I think, too, inflammation in the gut and in the brain. But you have to realize, like, okay, if I want to be a good friend, if I want to be a good employee, if I want to be a good person, I have to choose to not eat that, to be able to make the hard choice, to be able to kind of serve others and help others and lower their stress level, lower my stress level too.
Yeah, I'm thinking, for any parents listening, if you want your memories of the holidays to be of you as a really stressed out parent, then, keep going.
Yeah.
Right. But if you want your kids to get to the end of their childhood and be like, the holidays were so fun, we have so many great memories with mom and dad, then, maybe choose wisely what activities you put on your calendar, maybe choose wisely what, tasks you give yourself through the holidays to make sure that you're not overwhelming yourself and you actually have that time to be present with your family. I mean, that alone, just that feeling of overwhelm, taking that away, that for me is a big stress trigger in my life when I have too much on my to-do list. And so that's been a huge learning curve for me because I am also an achiever. So I like to do all the things and all the things sound so much fun, but then we actually get down to them and they end up just being stressful when you have too much.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if they're not going to be fun, you're like, we're going to do this fun thing if it kills us. So get
exactly. I can be that way.
Like, okay, let's put down the phone and not look at anybody else's pictures and just enjoy the moment, because the kids just want to connect with you. Everyone just wants that connection and attention. And so you don't have to do much to make it enjoyable and magical. So
it's true. Keep it simple.
Yes.
What are some bad side effects that someone might have for not doing anything through the holidays? Like, what have you seen in clients that maybe come to you at the beginning of the year or whatnot? Like, what are some of the repercussions that people have after neglecting their health for several months?
Right. Yeah. Well, definitely there are like some symptoms you can have that people are like, oh, I think I'm just getting old, or I think it's this weather or whatever, that really can just be attributed to lack of movement, you know, achy joints, low energy, fatigue, some brain fog. I mean, a lot of those almost go away instantly when you start to move and work out. So, you know, there are physical symptoms that a lot of them can have. Also, whatever damage is done by all the holiday indulging, it's not really the kind of thing that can be undone, or at least not undone easily. Like, you know, if you've stretched out your stomach, it's going to take a lot to rein it back in. Or if you've eaten something that irritates you and causes that inflammation, it's going to take you several weeks to get that back down. Not to mention just how much maybe farther they are now from reaching their health goals of like, oh, toned arms and flat stomach. It's like, okay, well, yeah, you know, you were 10 pounds ahead of the game until, you know, the holidays, and then we came back and had to work that off first. So,
yeah, I think another one for me is just that I kind of already talked about it, but just that the mental health effects. You know, you get to the end of the holidays and you're almost depressed. You know, which should have been like such a like joyous, happy time or whatever, but
you're drained and that,
yeah.
It's not a great way to start the new year, you know, off on a sugar high and sleep deprived, and it's not a good thing to go into. But yeah, and two, we definitely, you know, different supplements are huge this time of year, and goes right hand in hand with fitness and diet. We aren't getting vitamin D from the sun in our specific location. We're far enough north that we don't get any till about April or May. So that definitely is true that can be a depressant, you know, not getting that vitamin D and sunshine. So that can lead to the depression. Definitely, we load up on vitamin C for just the amount of sugar consumption too, to try all we can to keep our immune system built up. There's a lot of things like sugar actually depletes your magnesium reserves. So usually after eating all these sweets and candy and things, your magnesium is really low. That can definitely be one of the factors of headaches. You know, everyone talks about holiday migraines and things. So there's a lot to be said for just making sure you're fortifying your body and your immune system, so that way you're ready to work out. Is we do get some people that have some like adrenal fatigue. You know, they are taxed, and really when you get there and you have to modify your workouts, you can't do it like a normal person. You have to be gentle. You can't get your heart rate up too high, or else you're actually doing more harm than good. And I think a lot of people struggle with that adrenal fatigue from just the chronic stress that they're in, or lack of nutrients, from maybe not eating a healthy diet. And even if that, maybe the lowered absorption rate from the stress. So they're not getting those nutrients. They need to supplement something extra for that, so that way you can work out and feel good and feel your best.
Yeah, that's a great point. I know supplements aren't a replacement for nutrition and movement and things like that, but they can definitely be a huge help. So that would be a great healthy habit to be consistent on.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's definitely not going to outdo your bad diet, but give your body the support where you can.
Yeah. Okay, I have 3 final questions that I want to ask you, but is there anything else on your heart about the holidays and such before I give you those questions?
Well, only thing I can think of is I don't know, I'm like an Anna Green Gables fan. I think Miss Shirley that says, well, tomorrow's a new day with no mistakes in it yet. And it may have been someone else. If I misquote that, I'll be disappointed. But just because you decided to cheat on maybe a snack or dinner doesn't mean that you can't, the very next choice you make, be a good one. You know, like we said, don't wait till January. Just because you had a donut for breakfast doesn't mean that whole day is a loss. So you just kind of have to do the next right thing, you know, make the next right choice. And every little healthy choice matters and really culminates to the healthy lifestyle. You know, little habits that seem insignificant, you know, all put together. It's like, wow, we've made some huge changes in our lifestyle. So just don't be discouraged. You know, if you've made some poor choices, just realize, okay, well, what's the next good thing you can do? You know, take the walk, or, you know, okay, well, your next meal, it can be better, So
That's so smart. I love that encouragement. Yeah. We get stuck in like shame mode, if we ate something that we didn't intend to, or that, we feel like we shouldn't have eaten, or it was a bad thing to eat. And then we, feel guilty or shame over that. And then it just kind of spirals into, well, I've already ruined my day. So, what's the use in, trying to do something healthy now, whatever.
Right. And that mindset, it, leads to that stress that we're talking about, just kind of that, that negativity. So yeah, just keep plugging along, keep trying and doing your best. So don't get stuck in that mindset.
Okay, Molly, my last 3 questions for you are, the first one is, what healthy living resource would you recommend to someone that's wanting to learn more about health and wellness?
There are a lot. There's several. We have like a list of different doctors and just people that we follow on Facebook. And it's nice to have that encouragement in our feed, fill it up with good things instead of maybe things that aren't necessarily true, or,
find some people that you trust to follow and have that encouragement every time you go on.
Yeah, you can just, it helps encouraging. So we have a book, I don't know if you've read it, it's called Dirty Genes by Dr. Ben Lynch. It's really interesting how your genetic makeup can play into like your working out. It may be some exercises are actually more effective for you because of your genetic makeup. Maybe some things like food items, are cheating on them is actually so much worse for you than others, just due to your genetics. So it's just a really interesting book. He's a good one to follow on Facebook too.
I'll definitely link that in the show notes.
Yes, yeah, he's great. One of the first ladies I found, her name is Sarah Prof, and she does like a blog, has a Facebook page, and she, similar I think to us, is just try to start a healthy living, healthy lifestyle. Make little changes, and she's gotten more and more advanced, and now you're like, wow, she's so healthy, But it started way back when, and her son has got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. He's 15, I think, somewhere around there a couple years ago, and they're able to manage it through diet alone. And so she's learned a lot about diet, and she does just a lot of helpful posts. She puts a lot of her own time into researching things, and I found her to be a worthy resource. So
great. Yeah, I'll have to link that one as well. Second question is, what is your favorite healthy snack?
Let's see. That's harder. It really changes depending on how we're eating, like what phase of life we're in, healing our bodies, what foods we're introduced not. Right now, I'd say our snacks are really meals. So like a hamburger patty, like grass-fed beef, that would be a go-to snack for us. No bun or anything, just kind of some meat.
Yeah.
Even like an egg, that is a good snack. As far as something like stable, that's more practical to take with you, I do like roasted pumpkin seeds or some flax seeds for like the omega-3.
Yeah, those are great options. I love all those. And then the third question is, who would you love to see as a guest on the Daily Wellness Podcast?
Okay. There's probably a lot of people again that could be on here. I know we've talked to Dr. Piquel up in Kansas City. He's fairly local. He does FCT, which is field control therapy, I believe. That's more of a homeopathic option. If you live closer to here, we've had a lot of great results with that. And it's just interesting science to learn about. Yeah. More of a topic than a person. But maybe Sarah Prof would be a good one to ask about like holistic hobby farming options. We talk about like, grass-fed meat and pasture range, free range eggs, and everybody hears this, and I think there's maybe a disconnect of like, okay, but why is that healthier than, is that just an expensive, is that a label you stick on something to charge more money, and not realizing, okay, no, this is how raising your animal this way impacts your health. And so it'd be good for those people that are wanting to try to do some things to help their health, at home. So
yeah, I'm so curious to learn about these people. So I'm going to have to check them out for sure. Thank you for the recommendations.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you for joining me. Thank you for what you're doing for women in your community and for your knowledge. And just, I think it's pretty cool when someone goes on their own health journey and then turns around and starts helping other people with what they've learned. And I see you doing that. And I just want to say you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Thanks for listening to today's episode on the Daily Wellness Podcast. We hope that you found it helpful for your own wellness journey. And if so, we'd love for you to leave a review. Then come back and listen for review shoutouts on upcoming episodes. For more information, check out the show notes and connect with us on our website, dailywellnesscommunity.com.